Hi, and welcome back to AppSecCon 2022. In this panel discussion, we're going to talk about hiring application security professionals. We've got Vijay Jaju, who is the partner at KPMG focused on cyber data and tech enablement. We've got Caleb Quern, who is a director at KPMG Cybersecurity Services, and Vandana Verma, who is the security relations leader at SNCC focused on DevSecOps. Great conversation for those that are looking to hire or looking to be hired in application security. Let's check it out.
Well, thanks everyone. Welcome to Vandana Verma and Caleb Quern. Super excited to be here with you all. This is my favorite topic. It boils down to the most invaluable asset. It's people. And I think we are all, deeply aware of, sort of the talent requirements and the scarcity of it, and sort of how do we upskill, train, retrain, retool our people. So Vandana, Caleb, I'm really super excited to be here. I think just to kick it off and kind of put things in perspective, a couple of data points I would sort of tee up is we are seeing sort of a massive demand, of course, both from software developers, engineers, who can design and build kind of secure online applications. It's expected to grow like almost 200% by 2025 just in US, and so this is not even global numbers. And you're looking at sort of the highest needs in sort of the DevSecOps specialist. And also just for a quick LinkedIn search as we were preparing for this conversation, we just found like 100,000 job openings, in terms of just AppSec professionals, security engineers, et cetera. So it just kind of shows and paints a picture in terms of the demand and the ask. So I'm just kind of curious, and I'll tee this up. Vandana, Caleb, what do you see from your vantage point in terms of kind of the state of the affairs, the demand, and probably like some of the challenges? Vandana, I'll start from you.
Sure. Thank you so much, Vijay, for introducing us. And I'm really glad to be speaking with you and Caleb. About the topic, if we talk about the number of job opportunities that we see, it's growing every year. And I would say it's not just a yearly thing now. Every month we see more and more opportunities coming out. But then we have very few people who are ready to take up cybersecurity as a career. What I have seen in the past few months, especially when people say that now we're gearing up from college as well. But then it boils down that whether they really end up taking opportunities in cybersecurity, or the people who have enthusiasm to move to cybersecurity. So these are two things. One, we have more and more job openings coming up because we want more cybersecurity, more opportunities. And another thing is that we have a lot of hacks which are happening, which is making our job more secure. And there are more opportunities that are coming up because they want to secure the environment. Now, this leads us to the point where we have skilled resources or not, where we have people who want to be in cybersecurity or not, who want to be in AppSec or not, or maybe some other domain. Now, when someone says that, yes, I want to be part of it, then companies have a big role, description of a role. Now, this role is only existing from past 5 years, but they want people who have 10 years of experience. Now, that again boils down that can we go ahead and emphasize on those things as well? So opportunities, people wanting to do, right kind of roles available, right kind of job description available, and then giving the opportunities to the freshers. I think these four things have to go in tandem.
Totally makes sense. Thanks, Vandana, for sharing that. Caleb, your vantage point, given sort of you also see a wider array of sort of enterprise clients, kind of large and small in different industries.
For sure. Yeah, thanks, Vijay. It's great to speak with everyone and see you both. So at the large organizations that are the really ones that impact innovation and drive economic stability for folks all around the world as they grow and provide opportunity. Even in those largest of shops, we've got that layer at the top of cybersecurity talent. And then we can kind of go down the pyramid or the funnel to application security. And then perhaps there's even a subset of those who are more at the bleeding edge in modern DevSecOps and cloud infrastructure. But that little point at the beginning, at the bottom of the funnel, where all of the leaders say that everybody needs to be going. And that's where they expect their organizations to be playing, because that enables them to move fastest and grow and compete. But the problem is, as we said, that's where the fewest people are. That's where the least number of talented resources are today. So the challenge is acute. I mean, it's quite painful for a lot of large organizations today. In terms of what we do about it, boy, we could talk, and I'm sure we're going to spend some time on that today. But it is inhibiting, I think, the risk reduction capabilities of large organizations everywhere, to summarize. And when we do that, that means they have to invest more in cleaning up messes instead of innovation and growth. So it's a big problem globally.
Yeah, and I think one thing sort of you both sort of reiterated, one of the interesting conversations I had with one of the largest tech companies in the world is about unrealistic expectations, to the point that even Vandana was sort of stressing on. And this conversation with the security engineering lead was, hey, can we tailor the resumes or the job descriptions to be super practical? Let's not look for unicorn, which will take us 8 months to find, versus can we hire like really, really smart individuals, smart professionals who've got maybe the basic skills, and can we train them, on the job, and rather than spending 8 months, 12 months trying to find, we may never find a unicorn. So I think that definitely there is a realization or multiple conversation that we are seeing, where somebody's kind of raising the bar so high that it's very hard to get in. So I think you both sort of alluded, and we understand sort of the magnitude. Like if you are like a large enterprise or even a smaller enterprise, but let's say you are a younger professional, you're starting your career early in your sort of the career journey. What skills do you kind of stress on? How do you go about it? Certain lessons learned or quote unquote case studies. What have you seen sort of that works? Maybe that's probably the area we can spend majority of the time, like kind of sharing certain ideas and thoughts. Maybe I'll start this time. Caleb, do you want to share, and then we'll go to Vandana?
Sure. Okay, for an individual who is trying to perhaps become more involved and increase their value to an organization, and for their own career's sake, there's an assumption, right? I think we assume that this type of resource or talent or individual is a curious person. Without curiosity and the innate kind of drive to learn more and discover, it's going to be tough. That's hard to fake. So if we assume that you have that passion to learn more, go deeper, and which of course ends up making you more valuable, that's step one. Of course, there's plenty of training out there available today. I still don't think it's what, at the scale of the problem or opportunity we have right now, I don't think it's enough. I don't think we have the depth and breadth of great content and opportunities to get trained up that we need. But there are certainly places that are available, and organizations even, that you can become a part of that will help drive your career and drive your development in this valuable space. Vandana, how about you?
I would totally agree with you on that. And the most important aspect that comes is that we need to train people. We cannot just go ahead and say that we have skilled people. And especially when you want to start off your career in cybersecurity, or you're moving from another domain, the first thing anyone can do is that keep a perspective open that there will be a lot more things to come forward, be it application security, be it any place. I started my first cybersecurity journey, which was a serendipity, as a SOC analyst, where I was a developer and suddenly I was asked to do SOC analyst role. I never envisioned. I did it for 5 years, night jobs to everything, but I learned a lot. And as I happened to be in my second job, I was hired as a SIM administrator, which was a fair thing because I was part of the SOC team. And suddenly, when I join in, the very second day, I've been asked to take up application security. I say, I don't know the ABC of application security. But at the time, my boss or the person who was guiding me or the person who was taking care of the role told me that I'll give you 3 months. You need to train yourself. You will have mentors. You'll have people around, and you can do that. Another important aspect is resources, the right resources. We have so much information on the internet these days that you get lost. So the start point is start from the basics. What is application security? Do you need development skills? Because not every application security person needs to have development skills. Some people say, no, you need to have knowledge around languages. I didn't have at that time. I knew a bit of development, but not everything I knew. So you don't need to have, but then it's good to have always. So start there, have some resources like PBC, that's sharing wonderful resources around DevSecOps, even the basics, stories from the leaders, stories from different people. OWASP, I'm a huge preacher about OWASP, so I shamelessly plug in everywhere. And OWASP has some wonderful resources, and that actually made me who I am today. I started off with Web Application Security Testing Guide because it's very basics. Then OWASP Top 10, understanding what it is. The top 10 risks, those are not vulnerabilities, but risks. And there are many underlying CWEs or CVEs associated with it. Understanding those. If you got your basics right, nothing can stop you. No one can stop you for leading the way forward in application security. That's what I feel.
Thanks, Vandana. I think it's a very powerful story, kind of sharing some of your personal kind of journey and how you sort of got involved in that, right? So that's super, super thankful. I think a couple of things that I also wanted to share here, even from an organization perspective, right, with the audience here, right? Having a security champion. When you think about, we hear data points about 50 security engineers to one AppSec professional, so the scale matters. And we are sort of in scarcity. So one of our largest tech client, what they embarked upon is sort of really kind of putting security champion within the engineering org, and that created a dotted line. And again, trying to influence and cross-train the engineering org. And when they have their boot camp, like this was 14 years ago, when the term DevOps wasn't even quote unquote in mainstream or conceived in that sense, right? So they really try to influence the engineering org and get the security champions out of the principles. And what they sort of led to was give quote unquote bonuses and recognition rewards to the engineers to say, hey, how many buggy code do you release from security bugs? So they really influence in terms of quote unquote training and making folks to appreciate and realize. So again, those are just some very easy sort of the kind of the learnings from we're seeing other organizations wanting to do the right things, wanting to do some of the cross training, etc. I mean, Caleb, I know you and I know about it. You kind of also led to some very interesting training. We were talking about different ways or avenues to learn for professionals. You led some very interesting quote unquote certification campaign within KPMG. So do you want to share like what sort of excited you and what was that role? So I think that'll also be a probably a good example to share with the audience here in terms of how organizations can think about to Vandana's point, really go after some of the learnings and the training opportunity.
For sure. As you kind of suggested, Vijay, I get very passionate about this. I get very fired up. A few years ago, it felt to me that we weren't as prepared as we needed to be to support our clients in cloud security. And so we began a very intentional, very aggressive campaign to increase the number of certifications across, AWS, GCP, and Azure. Okay. And we set goals. And whatever the thing is we're talking about, whether it's cloud security or application security or something specific, I think the message perhaps to leaders, and I'd love to hear Vandana's thoughts in a moment, but is creating a culture of learning where we know that part of the expectation in the place we work is to be better tomorrow than we are today. The stakes are too high to not dedicate resources and time to that objective. Whether it's some group like KPMG or every large organization out there today, there's just too much at stake. And of course, we can gamble. We can say, you know what, we're going to forego investing in that type of security focus. But there's a high risk that something very expensive can happen when we don't invest now in little things regularly, whether it's a weekly conversation among folks who opt in to a security champions team or effort, or a monthly get together, whatever it looks like, the more we talk about these things, there's a high correlation between how good we are at them. So being intentional about making some goals around a program and a cadence to be better at this. What do you think, Vandana?
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. And especially, I remember working for a company where I was heading the security, and we realized that people are scared of security teams. And over the period of time, you have to build the trust. And Security Champions program is the key to it, where you need to have clearly defined activities that what people would be doing. If they are enthusiastic enough to say that, yes, we want to be part of Security Champions program, we need to have clearly defined objectives for them. Because it's not just the only job that they would be doing. They'll have their day job, and alongside they would be supporting these activities. Then we need to have security representation there, so that there will be some kind of good interactions, clearly defined roles and responsibilities. And you rightly mentioned about the cadence, because if you don't have the right cadence timings, or if you don't have that defined early on, the project cannot be managed, whatever we say. It has to be mapped properly. And when I say program management, cadence, and everything, there's one thing I totally love, and I tell people that we should do is rewards and recognition. Everyone loves it. I love it. I'm sure everyone loves it. If we reward them, they tend to be more inclined towards achieving those goals, fulfilling those goals, and be more empathetic about the situations which are around.
Hey, Vandana, I'm so glad you said the magic word at the end there, because a lot of the times when we think about this area, we think about the technical skills required to do the job. But we also can't forget, if we want to be successful, the other half of the coin, the yin and the yang, which is the human side of it. As security engineers, whether you are sent out into dev teams to help them be better, or maybe you have just a more focused role within the security side of the house itself, empathy and winning hearts and minds goes so much farther, faster than perhaps just leading with the technical or the stick that sometimes security practitioners may have a reputation for. I love the way you frame that.
Yeah, no, I think thanks, Vandana and Caleb. This is super exciting. I'm sure we can spend hours talking here. Yeah, given our passion towards this topic and also encouraging people. Any sort of the key takeaways that you want to share as well, like kind of last words to kind of our audience here.
Sure. Thanks, Caleb. Now, the key takeaway is that first, learn the basics, especially for the people who are getting into application security. Don't look at too many resources. For the organizations, let's cross-train our people so that we have people joining from different teams itself, rather than we waiting months for hiring someone and then they ditching at the last minute. We need more cybersecurity people. We need to fill in those jobs. And it can only happen when we have people cross-training each other, organization training them around the different skill sets in cybersecurity. That's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah. In closing, I would also add that from a leadership perspective at an organization, like what you might consider doing now, I would suggest you consider starting today. If you don't have anything formal in place, that's okay. But let's change that. Let's decide that this is important. And what that can look like is some sort of program, as Vandana said, and the program may have these parameters around it. On this frequency, we meet for this amount of time and we talk about this many things. It doesn't have to be perfect. The point is, it's better to have an intentional plan about it than to have nothing and to expect it to happen organically. That's unrealistic. So get moving, start today. Don't wait to be perfect, but just make an effort to be aggressive about growing here, because it will pay off.
Yeah, no, thanks, Caleb, Vandana, and I totally echo the sentiments here. And if I were to share sort of kind of my couple of learnings, of course, the opportunity is huge. The expectations are also huge, and we sort of have a responsibility as practitioners, as professionals, to kind of do our due diligence and kind of help, of course, secure our infrastructure, secure our customers, etc. I think if for enterprises, for organizations, I kind of leave it at that. A mark of a leader is how many more leaders he or she makes. So that's sort of what I picked up from my father, and what I sort of take it every single day. So what do you do and sort of build the next set of professionals is what defines you. And for sort of younger professionals kind of starting a career, I always sort of think about kind of Steve Jobs, stay hungry, stay foolish. So I hope you all heard that similar sentiment from Vandana and Caleb as well, and sort of your sort of hunger to learn and contribute and not sort of be in those confines or parameters that you may think you are. So I'm super excited. Thank you so much, Caleb, Vandana. I know we are going to get into Q&A and answer questions from the audience, and looking forward to continuing the conversation and making an impact to our community.
Thank you.
Thank you.